Captain Jung Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder, his eyes fixed on the vast emptiness of space. Stars twinkled in the distance like diamonds on black velvet. The ship hummed softly around him, a comforting sound after 5 years as its captain. Another quiet day, he said to no one in particular. The Pathfinder was Earth's most advanced spaceship, built for deep space exploration. Today, they patrolled the edge of human territory, about 30 light-years from Earth. Humanity had spread to Mars, Europa, and a few planets around nearby stars, but they had yet to meet any alien life. "Sir, all systems are normal," reported Officer Tai, not looking up from his console. "We should reach checkpoint 6 in about 3 hours." June nodded. These patrol missions were important but boring. Part of him hoped for something unexpected to happen. He immediately felt guilty for the thought. In space, unexpected usually meant dangerous. "Captain, I'm getting something strange," called Minji Park from the communication station. Her voice was tense, which immediately caught June's attention. Minji was usually calm, even in drills. "Define strange, Officer Park." "A signal, sir, not one of ours. Not using any human communication protocols." The bridge fell silent. Everyone turned to look at Minji, who was adjusting controls on her panel with quick, precise movements. "Are you saying?" Da-Han, the chief security officer, started to ask. "Yes," Minji cut him off. "I believe it's not human in origin." June felt his heart rate increase. First contact. After all these years of searching and waiting, it might happen on his watch, during a routine patrol. "Put it through the translator," he ordered, keeping his voice steady despite his excitement. Minji nodded and tapped several commands into her console. The ship's eye would attempt to decode the message based on universal mathematical principles. It might take hours or even days to get anything meaningful. But less than a minute later, a voice filled the bridge. It was strange, slightly mechanical as the AI constructed it, but clear enough to understand. "Under attack. Civilian transport. Children on board. Please help. Anyone. We are the Talari. Void hunters have found us. They will not stop. Please." The message repeated, growing more desperate with each cycle. "Distance and direction?" June asked sharply. Hun Choi, the tactical officer, was already working on it. "About 3 light-years beyond our border, Captain. Coordinates coming to your screen now." June looked at the numbers. The signal came from unexplored space, beyond the edge of mapped human territory. "Sir, protocol states we should report this to Earth Command and await instructions," said Da-Han, his face serious. "This could be a trap." "I agree with Officer Han," said Ta. "We don't know anything about these Talari or these void hunters." June understood their concerns. The first rule of space travel: be cautious. But he also heard the fear in that alien voice. Someone, something, was in danger. "How long would it take us to reach the signal's location?" he asked. "At maximum speed, about 14 hours, answered Suk Lee, the ship's engineer. "The engines can handle it." June tapped his fingers on the arm of his captain's chair. "And how long would it take to get authorization from Earth Command?" "At least 20 hours for the signal to reach Earth, and for their response to return to us," said Minji. "By then, those people could be dead," June said quietly. The bridge crew exchanged uncomfortable glances. They all knew what their captain was considering. "Sir," Da-Han spoke again, "we're not equipped for combat against an unknown enemy. The Pathfinder is an exploration vessel with limited weapons." "But we're not defenseless," countered Hyun. "Our shields are the best in the fleet, and our laser arrays can pack a punch if needed." June stood up and walked to the main view screen, looking out at the stars. Behind him, he could feel his crew waiting for his decision. In his mind, he heard the desperate plea again: "Children on board." He turned back to face his crew. "I know what protocol says, but there are times when we must go beyond protocol. Someone out there needs help. They have children with them. He paused, making eye contact with each officer. I didn't join the space service to hide behind rules while innocent beings die. This could start a war, Dodd warned. We don't know who these void hunters are or what they're capable of. Or it could start the first peaceful contact with two alien species, Jun replied, one of which clearly needs our help. He returned to his chair and sat down, his decision made. Plot a course to the signal's origin, maximum speed. Alert all crew to battle stations as a precaution. Minji, keep translating that message. I want to know everything we can before we arrive. The crew hesitated for just a moment before jumping into action. Tai adjusted their course. Suk prepared the engines for sustained high-speed travel, and Day began running system checks on their defensive capabilities. Captain, said Minji, I'm getting more from the translation. The Talari ship is a refugee vessel. The Void Hunters appear to be some kind of predator species. Predators? Asked Jun. The message mentioned something about harvesting and collection. I don't have enough context to be certain, but it sounds like the Void Hunters attack other species as a matter of policy, not just in territorial disputes. A chill ran through the bridge. The idea of a spacefaring species that deliberately hunted others was disturbing. Time to arrival, Jun asked. 13 hours, 42 minutes at current speed, reported Ta. Send a message to Earth Command, ordered Jun. Inform them of our discovery and our decision to investigate. Tell them we'll report back as soon as we have more information. Yes, sir, said Minji. Should I mention that we plan to intervene if necessary? Jun thought for a moment. Yes, they should know exactly what we're doing. Add that we believe this is consistent with the First Contact Directive's clause on humanitarian aid. As the ship accelerated toward the distress signal, Jun called a meeting with his senior officers in the conference room adjacent to the bridge. They needed a plan. Dai, what are our options if we encounter hostiles? He asked. Our shields can withstand significant energy weapon fire, but we don't know what kind of weapons these Void Hunters might have, Day replied. Our own weapons include precision laser arrays and a limited number of kinetic projectiles. The good news, added Suk, is that I've been working on some shield modifications. They're not officially approved yet, but they could give us an edge in an emergency. Have them ready, ordered Jun. Hyun, as soon as we're in range, I want full scans of both vessels. Look for weaknesses, power sources, life signs, anything that might help us. Yes, Captain. Dr. Jin Yoon, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke. I'll prepare medical for possible casualties. If these Talari are injured, we should be ready to help them. Assuming their biology isn't completely incompatible with our medical equipment. Jun nodded. Good. Jin, you'll also be in charge of first contact protocols if we manage to rescue any Talari. The meeting continued, each department head reporting readiness and concerns. When they finished, Jun dismissed them to their duties but asked Minji to stay behind. Any more from that message? He asked when they were alone. Minji's face was grim. Yes, sir. Based on what I've pieced together, the Void Hunters don't just attack. They collect specimens. Living specimens. Jun felt sick. You mean? They take people. Alive. For what purpose? The message doesn't say. Jun stared out the viewport at the stars streaking past as the Pathfinder raced toward an unknown danger. We're doing the right thing, he said softly, though whether he was reassuring Minji or himself, he wasn't sure. I know, sir, she replied. None of us would want to stand by if it were humans sending that distress call. As Minji left, Jun remained at the viewport, thinking about what lay ahead. In a few hours, humanity would make its first contact with alien life, not through careful diplomacy or planned meetings, but in the heat of conflict. He hoped they were ready, because somewhere in the darkness ahead, someone was asking for help. And Captain Jun Kim had already decided humanity would answer that call. Captain, we're approaching the coordinates, Todd called out, breaking the tense silence that had filled the bridge for the past hour. Jum Kim straightened in his chair. For nearly 14 hours, the Pathfinder had raced toward the distress signal at maximum speed. The crew was tired but alert, running on a mix of excitement and fear. "Drop us out of FTL," Jun ordered. Tactical display on main screen. The stars stopped streaking past the viewports as the ship slowed to sublight speed. The main screen flickered and showed what lay ahead. Jun's breath caught in his throat. 2 ships hung in the darkness of space. One was badly damaged, with parts of its hull torn open and dim lights flickering inside. The other was dark and predatory-looking, with sharp angles and a surface that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. 2 more similar ships circled nearby. "Life signs?" Jun asked quickly. Han's fingers danced across his console. "Many on the damaged vessel. Hundreds, actually. The readings are strange, not human, but definitely alive." He paused. "Fewer on the attacking vessels, maybe 20 to 30 each. The damaged ship is still transmitting the distress signal," Minji reported. "They're calling themselves the Talari Refugee Transport." Jun stood up, eyes fixed on the screen. "Open a channel to all ships in the area." Minji nodded. "Channel open, sir." Jun took a deep breath. "This is Captain Jum Kim of the United Earth ship Pathfinder. We are responding to a distress call from the Talari vessel. We request that all hostile action cease immediately." They waited. Seconds ticked by. "No response, Captain," Minji said finally. "They've seen us, though," Hyun added. "The nearest hunter ship is changing course, heading toward us." Dad Han moved to stand beside the captain. "Sir, I recommend we raise shields and prepare weapons. Their actions suggest they're not interested in talking." Jun nodded. "Agreed. Shields up. Weapon systems on standby." The bridge crew worked quickly, preparing the ship for possible combat. Jun watched as the hunter ship approached, its movements reminding him of a shark circling prey. "Captain," Minji called, "I'm getting a new transmission. It's different. Not from the Talari." "Put it through," Jun ordered. A harsh sound filled the bridge, like grinding metal mixed with deep growls. The universal translator struggled for a moment before converting it to words. "Leave. This hunt is not yours. These are our prey. Interfere, and you become prey as well." The message was simple but chilling. Jun felt anger rise within him at the casual way these void hunters spoke about the Talari, like they were animals to be hunted rather than people. "Send this reply," Jun said firmly. "We do not recognize your right to attack this vessel. The Talari have asked for our help, and we will provide it. Stand down your weapons and withdraw." As soon as the message was sent, the hunter ship accelerated toward them. "They're powering weapons," Hyun shouted. "Evasive maneuvers," Jun ordered. "Sook, now would be a good time for those shield modifications." The Pathfinder banked sharply as the hunter ship fired. A beam of dark purple energy cut through space where they had been moments before. "Shields at maximum," Sook reported from engineering. "Modifications online. They should hold against at least a few direct hits." "Sir, the other hunter ships are moving toward the Talari vessel," Ta warned. "I think they're planning to destroy it while we're distracted." Jun made a quick decision. "Target the nearest hunter ship with laser arrays. Warning shots first, across their bow." Hyun acknowledged the order and fired. Bright beams of energy flashed from the Pathfinder, cutting through space just in front of the approaching hunter vessel. For a moment, it seemed like the warning might work. The ship slowed. Then all 3 hunter vessels fired on the Pathfinder. At once, the ship shuddered violently as multiple energy beams struck their shields. Consoles sparked, and several crew members were thrown from their seats. Shields holding at 82%. Sook called through the comm system. "Return fire," Jun ordered. "Target their weapons systems." The Pathfinder's lasers lashed out again, this time hitting the lead hunter ship directly. There was a flash as the beam cut into its dark hull. "Direct hit," Hyun reported. "Their forward weapons array is damaged." "The Talari ship is hailing us," Minji said urgently. "On screen," Jun replied, not taking his eyes off the battle. The main screen split to show a face unlike any Jun had seen before. The being had light blue skin, large eyes with double pupils, and what looked like fine tendrils instead of hair. Despite the alien features, Jun could clearly see fear and hope in those eyes. "Human vessel," the alien said, its voice translated through the computer. "I am Captain Liren of the Talari refugee transport. Thank you for answering our call. We have 312 civilians aboard, including 89 children. Our engines are failing, and our shields cannot withstand another attack. We're here to help," Jun assured them as the ship rocked from another hit. "Can your vessel move at all?" "Minimal maneuvering only," Liren replied. "Our main drive is destroyed." Jun turned to Da. "Options. We can't take on 3 hunter ships and protect the Talari at the same time," Da said grimly. "Not for long." "Sir," Hyun called, "I'm detecting a pattern in their attack. They're focusing their fire on our engine sections. I think they're trying to disable us rather than destroy us." Jun remembered Minji's words about the Void Hunters collecting specimens and felt cold. They didn't want to destroy the Pathfinder. They wanted to capture it. And everyone aboard. "Sook," he called to engineering, "what have you found out about their ships from our scans?" "Their hull absorbs energy weapons, making them less effective," Sook replied. "But I'm detecting unusual heat signatures from their propulsion systems. They're running hot, much hotter than they should be. I think their engines are their weakness." Jun nodded. "Hyun, retarget all weapons on their engine sections. Full power." "Yes, sir." The Pathfinder shuddered again as another blast hit their shields. "Shields at 64%, Sook reported. "We can't take much more of this." "Executing attack run now," Ta said, his hand steady on the controls despite the danger. The Pathfinder dove toward the nearest hunter ship, weapons firing continuously. This time, their lasers struck the engine section directly. There was a bright flash, and the hunter ship suddenly went dark, drifting lifelessly. "One down," Hyun shouted. "The other 2 are retreating," Tai added with surprise in his voice. "They're moving away at high speed." Jun didn't relax. "Keep weapons locked on them until they're out of range. Minji, contact the Talari ship. Tell them we're sending medical teams and engineers to help with repairs." As the bridge crew carried out his orders, Jun turned back to the screen where Captain Liren was still visible. "Your ship saved us," Liren said, his voice trembling. "The Void Hunters never retreat. They hunt until they capture or kill their prey. You have done something no species has done in living memory." "We couldn't stand by while innocent people were attacked," Jun replied simply. Liren's expression changed to something solemn. "You should know that by helping us, you have drawn their attention to your species. The Void Hunters do not forgive. And they do not forget." "What exactly are they?" Jun asked. "Why were they attacking you?" "They are predators," Liren explained. "They consider all other sentient life to be prey. They hunt not just for resources or territory, but because it is their way. They collect specimens from each species they encounter, and then..." Liren seemed unable to continue. "Then what?" Jun pressed. "Then they return with fleets to harvest entire worlds." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Jun felt the weight of his decision pressing down on him. By saving the Talari, he might have put Earth in danger. "Captain," Day said quietly beside him, "we should report this to Earth Command immediately." Jun nodded. "Prepare the Talari ship for towing. We're taking them with us back to human space." He turned back to the screen. "Captain Liren, is your homeworld under threat as well?" Pain flashed across Liren's alien features. "Our homeworld fell 3 cycles ago. That is why we flee. We are the last ship to escape. We carry the future of our species." June felt his determination harden. You won't be running anymore. Earth will hear your story, and we will help you. As medical teams boarded the Talari ship and engineers worked to make it space-worthy again, June sent a priority message to Earth Command. Have made first contact with 2 alien species. 1 friendly, refugees called the Talari. 1 hostile, predatory species called Void Hunters. Request immediate conference with United Council upon return. Warning: human space may now be targeted for attack. Returning with Talari refugees and all available intelligence on the Void Hunter threat. June looked out at the stars, thinking about how one distress call had changed everything. Humanity had just been drawn into an interstellar conflict, and there would be no going back. The Grand Council chamber in New Geneva fell silent as Captain Jung Kim finished his report. 50 council members from all Earth nations and colony worlds sat around the massive circular table. Their faces showed shock, fear, and in some cases, anger. So, said Council Leader Ju Park, a stern woman with gray-streaked hair, you engaged an unknown alien species in combat without authorization. June stood straight, his uniform crisp despite the exhaustion evident on his face. Yes, Madam Leader. I made the decision to protect the Talari refugees. I accept full responsibility. Admiral Song, head of Earth's defense forces, leaned forward. Captain Kim may have acted without direct orders, but I believe he made the right call. The Void Hunters fired first. They gave us no choice. The issue isn't whether Captain Kim was right to defend his ship, said a council member from the Mars colony. The issue is that he may have started an interstellar war that Earth didn't ask for. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. If I may speak, came a soft voice from the side of the room. All heads turned to look at the Talari ambassador. Captain Liren stood with the help of a cane, still recovering from injuries sustained during the attack. Dr. Jin Yoon stood beside him, monitoring his vital signs. The council recognizes Ambassador Liren of the Talari, Ju Park announced. Honored leaders of Earth, Liren began, his translated voice filling the chamber. Captain Kim did not start a war. The war was already underway, a war the Void Hunters have been waging against all sentient life for centuries. Liren limped to the center of the room, where a holographic projector activated. With your permission, I will show you what happened to our homeworld. At a nod from Council Leader Park, Liren activated the device. The chamber darkened, and a beautiful blue-green planet appeared, floating in space. This was Talar, 3 of your Earth years ago, Liren said. Population: 8 billion Talari, living in peace. We had just developed faster than light travel, and were eagerly exploring nearby star systems. The image changed, showing the same planet with several dark ships in orbit around it. This was the day the Void Hunters arrived. At first, they seemed peaceful. They requested to exchange knowledge. We welcomed them. The next image made several council members gasp. The planet's surface was scarred with massive impact craters and fires. They struck without warning. Their first targets were our defense systems and communication centers. Then they began landing troops. More images followed. Cities in ruins, Talari being rounded up and loaded onto ships, and finally, the planet's oceans boiling away as some kind of massive energy weapon fired from orbit. Within 1 month, Talar was stripped of all resources. 3 billion Talari were dead. 2 billion were taken as specimens. The rest were hunted across our colonies. We are the last ship to escape. The 312 souls aboard our vessel may be all that remains of our entire species. Silence filled the chamber as the images faded. The Void Hunters have done this to 7 other species that we know of, Liren continued. They do not conquer, they consume. And now, thanks to your brave intervention, they know about Earth. Admiral Song stood up. How much time do we have before they might reach Earth? It depends on how important they consider you, Liren replied. Based on past patterns, perhaps 1 of your years. Maybe less if they viewed your defeat of their ships as a significant threat. Science Director Yun Kang, who had been quietly analyzing data on her tablet, spoke up. We've been studying the Void Hunter ship that the Pathfinder disabled. Their technology is advanced in some areas. Their weapons and stealth systems are centuries ahead of ours. But their propulsion technology is surprisingly vulnerable. Engineer Lee's targeting recommendation proved that. Can we defend ourselves against them? Asked a council member. Possibly, Admiral Song replied. But we would need to mobilize every ship, every weapon, every resource we have. And even then, you would likely fail, Laren said sadly. The Talari military was larger than yours. We had more advanced weapons. We still fell. Juwoo Park frowned. Then what hope do we have? Captain Jun stepped forward again. Madam Leader, the Void Hunters have one weakness that the Talari didn't exploit. They don't expect their prey to attack first. The room fell silent again. Explain, demanded Admiral Song. From the data we've gathered, the Void Hunters follow a pattern. They scout, they test their prey's defenses, and then they return with overwhelming force. They always assume they have the element of surprise. But what if we surprise them instead? Science Director Yun pulled up more data on the main screen. Captain Kim is right. The Void Hunters have superior technology, but they're overconfident. They've never been seriously challenged. Their ships have weaknesses, the propulsion systems Engineer Lee identified, but also gaps in their sensor arrays. With the right preparation, we could exploit these weaknesses. Are you suggesting we attack them? Council Leader Park asked incredulously. Before they attack us? Yes, Jun said simply. We hit them before they expect it, where they don't expect it. Heated debate erupted around the table. Some council members argued for diplomacy, others for building massive defensive systems around Earth and the colonies. A few supported Jun's idea of a preemptive strike. As the argument continued, a small, middle-aged man who hadn't spoken yet raised his hand. The room gradually fell silent. This was Hajin, the historian, respected for his knowledge of Earth's past conflicts. Throughout human history, Hajin said quietly, we have faced predators. From wolves that stalked our ancient ancestors to tyrants who sought to enslave nations. When dealing with true predators, those who see others only as prey, there are only two successful strategies. Hide so well they cannot find you, or become so dangerous they fear to hunt you. He looked around the room solemnly. We cannot hide. They know where Earth is. Our only choice is to become what they fear. The council chamber was quiet as everyone considered his words. Finally, Ambassador Laren spoke again. There is something else you should know. The Talari were not the only species the Void Hunters attacked. We have records of their assaults on the Meridian Collective, the Zord Empire, and others. Some of these species still have survivors hiding in remote systems, if humanity were to reach out to them. An alliance, Admiral Song said, understanding immediately. We could form a coalition against the Void Hunters. It would still be risky, Science Director Yun cautioned. Even with allies, we would be technologically outmatched. But not outmatched in determination, Captain Jun said firmly. The Void Hunters see all other life as prey, but humanity has never accepted being prey. Council Leader Juwoo Park stood, her decision made. We will put it to a vote. Do we hide and hope, or do we fight? One by one, the council members cast their votes. When it was done, the result was unanimous. Earth would fight. Captain Kim, said Council Leader Park, in light of your experience with both the Talari and the Void Hunters, I am assigning you a new mission. You will take the Pathfinder and seek out these other survivor species Ambassador Laren mentioned. Form an alliance if possible. Meanwhile, Admiral Song will begin mobilizing our fleet and implementing the defensive measures Science Director Yun recommends. And Engineer Lee's modifications, Joan asked. Will be applied to every ship in the fleet, Admiral Song confirmed. We're already reverse engineering the Void Hunter technology from the disabled ship you brought back. As the meeting ended, Jun and Laren walked together toward the shuttle bay where the upgraded Pathfinder waited. "Your people made a brave choice," Laren said. "Few species have had the courage to challenge the Void Hunters directly." "We're not just doing this for ourselves," Jun replied. "What happened to your world should never happen to another. Not to Earth, not to anyone." Lyran placed a three-fingered hand on Jun's shoulder. "The Talari have a saying. The fiercest defenders are those who fight for others, not just themselves. I believe humanity may be the defenders this galaxy has needed." As they boarded the Pathfinder, neither of them could know the full scale of what Earth had set in motion. Humanity had made its decision. And soon, the Void Hunters would learn that not all prey was created equal. Some prey fights back. 6 months had passed since Earth made its decision. 6 months of frantic preparation, diplomacy, and planning. 6 months that changed the galaxy forever. Fleet Commander Dahan stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, the largest warship humans had ever built. Around him, officers monitored screens and prepared for battle. Through the main viewport, he could see hundreds of ships gathered in formation. "Status report," Dad ordered. "All human vessels report ready," replied his second-in-command. "The Talari ships are in position. The Meridian, Joret, and Kalari fleets have confirmed they are standing by." Day nodded. Captain Jum Kim had succeeded beyond all expectations in his diplomatic mission. 4 alien species, all survivors of Void Hunter attacks, had joined Earth's coalition. Each brought valuable knowledge about their common enemy. "And our primary target?" Dai asked. "The Void Hunter staging area remains unaware of our presence. Their stealth detection systems haven't spotted us." Day allowed himself a small smile. The Void Hunters had hunted other species for centuries, always striking without warning. Now, for the first time, they would know what it felt like to be the prey. "Signal all ships," Da commanded. "Operation Preemptive Strike begins in 5 minutes." Meanwhile, on the far side of the Void Hunter base, a small stealth shuttle approached silently. Inside, Captain Jum Kim reviewed the plan with his special operations team. "Remember, our mission is to infiltrate the command station, gather intelligence, and, if possible, disable their communications network," Jum said. "Fleet Commander Day will keep their fleet busy, but we only have a short window to get in and out." Beside him, Engineer Suk Lee checked her equipment one last time. "The modifications to our suits should mask us from their internal sensors, but only for about an hour. After that, the power cells will fail." "Then we'll be done in less than an hour," Jum said confidently. He looked at each member of his team. Minji Park, now his communications expert, Hyun Choi, weapons specialist, and 4 other elite soldiers. "This mission is about more than just Earth," Jun reminded them. "It's about all sentient life in this galaxy. Today, we help free every species from the threat of being hunted." The shuttle's pilots signaled they were approaching their entry point. Jun put on his helmet and activated his suit's stealth systems. "For Earth," he said simply. "For Earth," his team echoed. The combined fleet dropped out of FTL near the Void Hunter staging area. Before the hunters could react, hundreds of ships opened fire simultaneously. On the Vengeance, Dai watched as the first wave of missiles struck their targets. The Void Hunter ships, caught completely by surprise, scrambled to respond. "Multiple direct hits," reported the tactical officer. "Their defensive screens are activating, but 3 of their ships are already disabled." "Press the attack," Dai ordered. "Focus fire on their propulsion systems, just as planned." The battle quickly expanded across the entire staging area. Void Hunter ships, though technologically superior, were outnumbered, and for the first time in their history, outmaneuvered. The Coalition fleet had studied their weaknesses and exploited everyone. Human ships targeted engine systems. Talari vessels jammed the Hunters' advanced targeting systems. Meridian craft deployed specialized weapons that disrupted the Hunters' energy shields. It was a coordinated assault unlike anything the predatory species had ever faced. But the Void Hunters were dangerous even when surprised. They returned fire, their powerful weapons cutting through several coalition ships with each blast. "We've lost the Dauntless and the Meridian cruiser Tholian," reported Des, second-in-command grimly. Day watched as a nearby human ship exploded under enemy fire. "Hold formation," he ordered. "We knew this would be costly, but we must keep their attention focused on us." Inside the Void Hunter command station, June's team moved silently through dimly lit corridors. Their modified stealth suits, based on the Hunter's own technology, had gotten them past the outer defenses. "This way," Minji whispered, following directions on her scanner. "The central database should be 2 levels down." As they descended deeper into the station, they passed chambers that made even these hardened soldiers pause in horror. Transparent containers lined the walls, each holding preserved specimens of different species. Some were clearly dead. Others appeared to be in some kind of suspended animation, their eyes moving to follow the human intruders. "They're collecting them," Hyun said, his voice tight with anger. "Like trophies." "Focus on the mission," Jun reminded him, though he shared the feeling. "We can't help them right now." They continued until they reached a massive circular room filled with computer terminals. Alien symbols flashed across screens that curved around the entire chamber. "This is it," Suk said, immediately moving to a central console. "Cover me. This will take a few minutes." While Suk worked to access the system, Jun and the others stood guard. Through the station's windows, they could see the battle raging outside. Explosions flashed like distant lightning as ships on both sides were hit. "Hurry," Jun urged Suk. "I don't think Dae can keep them distracted much longer." Suk nodded, her fingers flying across the alien interface she'd spent months learning to use. "I'm in their network, downloading everything. Tactical data, fleet positions, future targets." Her eyes widened. "Jun, they have detailed scans of Earth. They were planning an attack within weeks. Can you disrupt their systems?" Jun asked. Minji joined Suk at the console. "Better than that. I've prepared a virus that will spread through their entire command network. It'll disable their coordination systems across their entire empire." "Do it," Jun ordered. Minji inserted a small device into the console. "Uploading now. It'll take about 5 minutes to fully integrate." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. "We've been detected," Hyun warned, raising his weapon. "Stealth systems are failing earlier than expected." "Defend this position," Jun commanded. "We need those 5 minutes." On the Vengeance, Dae received an urgent message. "Sir, Captain Kim's team has been discovered. They need more time to complete their mission." Dae looked at the battle display. The Coalition fleet was holding its own, but just barely. Several more ships had been lost on both sides. "Send in our reserve units," he decided. "All ships, push forward. We need to draw more of their attention away from the command station." The human fleet surged forward, joined by their alien allies. It was a risky move that exposed more ships to enemy fire, but it worked. The Void Hunters turned more of their vessels to face this new threat, pulling ships away from the station's defense. Inside the command station, Jun's team had formed a defensive perimeter around Suk and Minji. The sounds of approaching Void Hunters echoed down the corridors. 2 minutes more, Minji reported, watching the upload progress. The first Void Hunters appeared at the entrance to the chamber. In person, they were even more terrifying than in images. Tall, muscular beings with gray skin and predatory features. They moved with unnatural speed, firing weapons that shot bursts of dark energy. Hyun and the other soldiers returned fire. One hunter fell, then another, but more kept coming. 1 minute, Minji called. A soldier beside Jun cried out as he was hit, his body crumpling to the floor. Another took a glancing blow to the arm, but kept fighting. 30 seconds, Suk said tensely. Jun fired continuously, dropping hunter after hunter, but they were being overwhelmed by numbers. A blast struck near his position, showering him with sparks. "Done," Minji shouted triumphantly. Virus uploaded. Throughout the station, lights flickered. On screens around them, error messages flashed in alien script. Fall back to the extraction point, Jun ordered. They retreated under heavy fire, carrying their wounded. As they reached a junction, a blast hit Hyun in the leg. He fell, and a group of hunters moved in for the kill. Jun turned back, firing to cover his friend. He helped Hyun to his feet, but as they turned to run, another blast caught Jun in the back. He stumbled forward, pain searing through his body. "Captain," Suk cried, moving to help him. "Keep going," Jun gasped. "Get to the shuttle." "Not without you," Minji insisted. Jun looked at his team, then at the approaching hunters. He made a decision. "Hyun, give me your demolition charges." Hyun hesitated, then understood. He handed Jun the powerful explosives. "It's been an honor serving with you all," Jun said. "Now go. Tell Earth we did it." Despite their protests, Jun pushed his team toward the exit. "That's an order." As they reluctantly retreated, Jun turned to face the oncoming hunters. He activated the charges and waited until his team was safely away. "No more hunting," he whispered. Then he pressed the detonator. On the Vengeance, Dai watched in amazement as the Void Hunter ships suddenly lost coordination. Some drifted out of formation. Others fired at random targets or not at all. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Their command systems are failing across their entire fleet," his tactical officer reported. "They can't coordinate their attacks." A massive explosion bloomed from the side of the command station. "Captain Kim," Day realized. He closed his eyes briefly in respect, then opened them with renewed determination. "All ships, press the advantage. Don't let up until every hunter vessel is disabled or destroyed." 1 year later, representatives from 27 species gathered in the Grand Council chamber on Earth. What had begun as a desperate alliance of 5 species had grown into the Galactic Defense Accord, as more and more former victims of the Void Hunters joined together. Admiral Minji Park, now commander of the UES Pathfinder I, stood before the assembly. 1 year ago today, we struck a blow for freedom that echoed across the galaxy, she said. The Void Hunters are not defeated. They may never be fully defeated, but their empire has fractured. Their coordination is gone. Where once they hunted with impunity, now they flee from united resistance. She gestured to a memorial stone that stood in the center of the chamber. Carved into its surface were the names of those who had fallen in what was now called the Liberation War. At the top was Captain Jun Kim's name. "We continue the work that began with a single distress call," Minji continued. "A call that triggered humanity's fury, a fury not of hatred or vengeance, but of protection and justice." As the ceremony ended, a small Talari child approached the memorial. She placed a flower at its base while humans and aliens from many worlds watched. The next generation of a galaxy no longer ruled by fear. The memorial bore an inscription that summed up all that had happened. From a single SOS came humanity's fury. From humanity's fury came the galaxy's freedom.